When Anna Lania woke on the morning of the 6th of November in the year 1939, her 7th, there were several things that she did not know. Anna did not know that the chief of the Gestapo in occupied Poland had by fiat compelled the rector of the Jagiellonian University to require the attendance of all professors, of whom her father was one, at a lecture and discussion on the direction of the Polish Academy under German sovereignty, to take place at noon on that day. She did not know that, in the company of his colleagues, her father would be taken from lecture hall number 56, first to a prison in Kraków, where they lived, and subsequently to a number of other internment facilities across Poland, before finally being transported to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp in Germany. She also did not know that several months later, a group of her father's surviving colleagues would be moved to the far more infamous Dachau camp in Upper Bavaria, but that by the time of that transfer, her father would no longer exist in a state in which he was capable of being moved. What Anna did know that morning was that her father had to go away for a few hours. 7-year-old girls are a hugely varied bunch. Some of them will tell you that they've long since grown up, and you'd have trouble not agreeing with them. Others seem to care much more about the hidden childhood secrets chalked on the insides of their heads than they do about telling a grown-up anything at all. And still others, this being the largest group by far, have not yet entirely decided to which camp they belong, and depending on the day, the hour, even the moment, they may show you completely different faces from the ones you thought you might find. Anna was one of these last girls at age 7, and her father helped to foster the ambivalent condition. He treated her like an adult, with respect, deference, and consideration, but somehow simultaneously he managed to protect and preserve in her the feeling that everything she encountered in the world was a brand new discovery, unique to her own mind. Anna's father was a professor of linguistics at the Jagiellonian University in Kraków, and living with him meant that every day of the week was in a different language. By the time Anna had reached the age of 7, her German, Russian, French, and English were all good, and she had a fair amount of Yiddish and Ukrainian, and a little Armenian and Carpathian Romany as well. Her father never spoke to her in Polish. The Polish, he said, would take care of itself. One does not learn as many languages as Anna's father had without a fair bit of love for talking. Most of her memories of her father were of him speaking, laughing and joking, arguing and sighing, with one of the many friends and conversation partners he cultivated around the city. In fact, for much of her life with him, Anna had thought that each of the languages her father spoke had been tailored, like a bespoke suit of clothes, to the individual person with whom he conversed. French was not French, it was Monsieur Bouchard. Yiddish was not Yiddish, it was Reb Shmulik. Every word and phrase of Armenian that Anna had ever heard reminded her of the face of the little old Tatik, who always greeted her and her father with small cups of strong, bitter coffee. Every word of Armenian smelled like coffee. If Anna's young life had been a house, the men and women with whom her father spent his free time in discourse would have been its pillars. They kept the sky up and the earth down, and they smiled and spoke to her as if she were one of their own children. It was never only Professor Lania coming to visit them. It was Professor Lania and Anna. Or as they might have it, Professor Lania and Anya, or Hanale, or Anke, or Anushka, or Anouk. She had as many names as there were languages, as there were people in the world. Of course, if each language is for only one person, then eventually a girl begins to wonder, what is my father's language? What is mine? But the answer was quite simple. They were speakers of other people's languages. Everyone else seemed tied down to only one, at best to 2 or 3, but Anna's father seemed to be entirely unbound by the borders that held everyone else in the wide and varied landscape of Kraków. He was not confined to any one way of speaking. He could be anything he wanted, except, perhaps, himself. And if this was true of Anna's father, well, then it must have been true for Anna too. Instead of passing on to his daughter one particular language that would define her, Anna's father gave her the wide spectrum of tongues that he knew and said, "Choose amongst them. Make something new for yourself."